Around 68 million years ago, a meteor 6 miles wide crashed into Earth, bringing an abrupt end to the age of dinosaurs. But before this cataclysm, the planet was ruled by a different kind of beast. The mosasaur. These marine reptiles grew longer than school buses and were perfectly equipped to rule the oceans. Their paddle-shaped limbs propelled them through the water, their jaws crushed prey like a nutcracker, and their eyes were huge, powerful organs adapted for seeing in the darkest depths. Mosasaurs were true apex predators, dominating the seas in a way that few creatures ever have. But there was one place they could not go, one realm they could not conquer, one world they could never rule the land. The reason is simple. Mosasaurs couldn't breathe air. Their lungs were gone, replaced by adaptations for life underwater. They were trapped forever in the ocean, unable to venture onto land. This was an advantage for another ruler of the late Cretaceous period, the tyrant lizard king. The reign of T.Rex spanned an astonishing 2 million years. Over that span, it dominated land, hunting and scavenging, ruling the Cretaceous with unmatched strength. But there was one area it could not explore, one realm it could not conquer, one world it could never dominate: the oceans. No matter how hard it tried, T.Rex could not breathe underwater. It was trapped forever on land, unable to explore the seas. Each was locked into its own domain, destined to rule only a part of the world. In a very real sense, each was incomplete without the other. And this led to an evolutionary arms race, a battle of adaptation that played out over millions of years. As mosasaurs evolved new ways of hunting and new forms of defense, T.Rex answered with changes of its own. A good example is the mosasaur's armor. The earliest species were sleek, torpedo-shaped beasts without a second thought for protection. But as T.Rex evolved, new defenses evolved too, bony plates and spines that protected their flanks. One species even sported a tail club for smashing attackers. T.Rex met this challenge with weaponry of its own, longer arms for grasping, stronger legs for kicking, and a larger head for delivering crushing blows. The two titans pushed each other to evolve, each forcing the other to adapt or die. And yet neither ever conquered both worlds. T.Rex remained earthbound. Mosasaurs stayed at sea. Each was destined to rule only a part of the world, until something changed. The end of the Cretaceous brought drastic change. The meteor that killed the dinosaurs also wiped out the mosasaurs. Suddenly, nothing bound T.Rex to the land. Nothing kept it from exploring the sea. Freed from its ancient rival, it may have entered the water, if it had wanted to. But evolution rarely gives second chances. There is no record of T.Rex doing so. Perhaps it didn't have the chance. Maybe it died before it could adapt to life at sea. Or maybe it simply didn't want to. Life on land was familiar, comfortable, safe. Why take the risk of venturing into the unknown? But then again, maybe it did. Maybe T.Rex did cross over into the seas, where it encountered strange, wonderful things that inspired some of the myths about its appearance. We may never know for sure, but that possibility adds another layer to the story of T.Rex. It is not just a tale of two rivals, locked in conflict over millions of years. It is also a story of potential, of what might have been, of the endless wonders of the natural world. But for now, let's return to T.Rex, the king of the dinosaurs. After the extinction of mosasaurs, it inherited an empty world, an Earth free of competitors, and challenged and rivaled. There was no one left to oppose it, no one to rival its power. But something was missing. With mosasaurs gone, T.Rex no longer had a worthy opponent. There was no one to push it to evolve, no one to inspire adaptations. What would happen next? Would it become lazy, complacent, weaker? Evolution says it would. Without the pressure of competition, there was no reason to keep improving, to get better, to become stronger. So T.Rex did none of those things. But once again, the story is more complicated than it seems. In a world emptied by the asteroid, Rex found plenty to hunt and even more to scavenge. The forest was gone, replaced by a world of grasses and small plants. Old habits die hard. Rex continued hunting, yes, but it also began searching for new food sources, new hunting grounds, new opportunities. Surprisingly, this proved ESYT. Rex was the only major predator left alive. And while the world had fewer large animals than before, there was still plenty to eat, enough to sustain its massive body, enough to keep it thriving. It was a survivor, but not in the way you might expect. Rex didn't need to be the perfect hunter or the fastest runner. It simply needed to adapt to a changing world, to try new things, to look for new opportunities. In the end, it succeeded. While other dinosaurs struggled, T.Rex thrived. It became bigger, bolder, fiercer. Fossil evidence shows that it grew more massive towards the end of the Cretaceous, perhaps reaching lengths of 50 feet. It was a colossus, a monster, the undisputed king of the dinosaurs. And yet none of this happened without change. T.Rex evolved through the same process it had always faced, responding to challenges, overcoming obstacles, and adapting to survive. It didn't need a rival to push it. It didn't need a competitor to inspire it. All it needed was opportunity. And in a world reshaped by catastrophe, opportunity was everywhere. The story of T.Rex is full of surprises. It started as a killing machine but evolved into a scavenger. It challenged mosasaurs for millions of years, but never ventured into the sea. It dominated the land but had no interest in becoming the king of all creatures. It was a tyrant lizard king, but perhaps that title was a misnomer. Rex was not a king at all. It wasn't born to rule. It wasn't destined to be an emperor. It simply survived. And that survival was its greatest triumph. It is a lesson worth remembering. The world is full of false starts and missed opportunities. Sometimes we chase the wrong dreams, dedicate ourselves to impossible quests, and exhaust ourselves in pointless battles. In the end, success often comes to those who are willing to change course, to accept the unexpected, and to adapt to the opportunities that life offers. That is the true story of T.Rex, a dinosaur that learned to survive in a changing world by trying something new, by looking for what was missing and filling the gap. It is a story that challenges our view of the natural world, reminding us that evolution is not a straight line, progress is not inevitable, and life finds a way, no matter the obstacle. So the next time we hear the roar of T.Rex, let us remember that it was not just a monster, but a survivor, an innovator, a creature that dared to be different. And that is what made it truly great. Now it's time to hear from you. What surprised you the most about T.Rex? And what do you think it would take to be the true king of the dinosaurs? Share your thoughts below. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. See you next time. To understand why T.Rex wasn't a killing machine, we need to step into its world. The late Cretaceous, about 68 to 66 million years ago. This was a land of giants. Forests thick with conifers and flowering plants, warm coastal plains, and endless rivers. It was also a world of predators and prey locked in a constant struggle for survival. The legend of T.Rex as an unstoppable hunter ignores one crucial truth: every creature, no matter how powerful, lived within a delicate balance. T.Rex was no exception. Its prey included massive plant eaters like Triceratops and Edmontosaurus. Triceratops alone was a formidable opponent, a tank with 3 horns, a giant frill, and enough strength to gore even the largest predator. Imagine a face-off. A T.Rex approaches, jaws open, but one wrong move and the horns of Triceratops could pierce its chest, ending the fight instantly. Fossil evidence supports this struggle. Paleontologists have found Triceratops skulls with bite marks from T.Rex teeth, but also T.Rex bones scarred by horn wounds. These were not easy meals. Each hunt was a gamble, a fight that could leave predator and prey dead together in the mud. This is why many scientists believe T.Rex may not have hunted as often as we imagine. It was too risky. A predator that lost one battle might not live to fight another. Instead, T.Rex's bone-crushing jaws and incredible sense of smell made it perfectly suited to scavenging. It could locate carcasses from miles away, walk tirelessly to reach them, and then consume every part of the body, even the bones. This wasn't weakness, it was efficiency and nature. The line between hunter and scavenger is thin. Lions scavenge from hyenas. Hyenas hunt their own prey, and vultures sometimes kill as well as clean. T.Rex may have done it all, but its greatest strength was taking advantage of every opportunity, not risking everything on impossible hunts. Another clue lies in its teeth, and like the sharp, knife-like teeth of raptors, T.Rex had thick, robust teeth shaped like railroad spikes. They weren't made for slicing, they were made for crushing. This gave T.Rex an edge. While other predators left behind bones too hard to chew, T.Rex could turn them into meals. Its stomach could dissolve even fragments of skeleton, giving it calories others could not reach. This adaptation screams survival, not perfection. It shows us a dinosaur that dominated not through raw speed or elegance, but through resilience. But if T.Rex wasn't the flawless killer of legend, what made it so successful? The answer lies in its senses. Studies suggest T.Rex had some of the sharpest eyesight of any dinosaur. Its forward-facing eyes gave it depth perception, perfect for tracking movement. Its hearing was tuned to low frequencies, allowing it to sense distant footsteps or the rumble of prey. And its sense of smell was extraordinary, better than that of today's vultures or wolves. This meant T.Rex didn't need to run down prey at high speeds. It could wait, follow, stalk, and strike only when the odds were safe. It was patient, not reckless. It was calculated, not mechanical. Still, the myth of the killing machine persists because of how humans have imagined T.Rex in culture. The first reconstructions in the early 20th century showed it standing upright like a giant kangaroo, tail dragging on the ground, a slow-moving lizard. Later, in the 1960s, the dinosaur renaissance transformed it into a sleek, dynamic predator. Artists painted it running across plains, jaws dripping with blood, the tyrant king of its world. By the time Jurassic Park hit theaters in 1993, the image was cemented. T.Rex was the apex hunter, the monster that stalked humans and dinosaurs alike. But Hollywood wasn't interested in accuracy, it was interested in fear. The roar of T.Rex, in reality, was likely nothing like the one we know. Movies used lion growls, elephant trumpets, even slowed down alligator bellows. The truth was probably stranger and quieter. The real T.Rex was also not the fastest predator of its time. Raptors, smaller and lighter, could move quickly and hunt in packs. Even large predators like Dacotarptor or smaller tyrannosaurs had advantages in speed. T.Rex's advantage was not speed but dominance. At 40 feet long and weighing nearly 10 tons, it could scare others away from kills, taking food without the risk of hunting. This behavior, called kleptoparasitism, is seen today in animals like lions and bears. It's not about killing, it's about taking control. Evidence from fossil sites suggests that T.Rex may even have lived in groups, or at least tolerated the presence of others of its kind. Multiple skeletons have been found together, hinting at social behavior. If true, this changes everything. Instead of a lone killer, T.Rex may have been part of a loose community, scavenging, hunting, and surviving together. That is not the story of a killing machine, it is the story of a survivor. An animal far more complex than legend allows. And then there's the question of its lifespan. T.Rex could live up to 30 years, a long time for such a massive predator. Fossilized bones show evidence of healed injuries, infections, and scars. These were creatures that endured battles, survived wounds, and lived on despite hardships. This resilience again paints a picture not of perfection, but of struggle. They weren't indestructible, they were vulnerable. Like all living things, they bore the marks of survival, not the polish of a flawless predator. The truth about T-Rex challenges our need for monsters. It shows us that even the most famous dinosaur was not a killing machine but an opportunist. It survived not because it was unstoppable, but because it was adaptable. That may be harder to sell on a movie poster, but it is a far more powerful story. Because adaptability, not brute force, is what truly defines survival. And yet, this is only part of the mystery. In the next chapter, we will explore how T.Rex grew from hatchling to giant, how it changed as it aged, and why its journey from tiny predator to towering titan reveals even more about its true nature. To understand why T.Rex wasn't a killing machine, we need to look not just at the adult giant, but at its entire life cycle. Because T.Rex wasn't born the king of dinosaurs. It started life as something far smaller, faster, and surprisingly vulnerable. And its growth reveals a truth that shatters the myth of the perfect predator. A baby T.Rex, newly hatched, was no bigger than a turkey. Imagine that tame animal that would one day weigh nearly 10 tons, starting life as prey itself. At this stage, it was fragile, armed only with speed, sharp teeth, and the instinct to survive. Fossil evidence suggests that young tyrannosaurs hunted small prey, lizards, mammals, and birds. They were agile, sleek, and quick, not the lumbering giants we imagine. In fact, for the first years of its life, T.Rex behaved more like a raptor than a bone-crushing monster. This growth strategy, called ontogenetic niche shift, meant that T.Rex filled multiple roles in its ecosystem as it aged. As a juvenile, it was a small predator. As it grew into adolescence, it became a mid-level hunter, capable of taking down larger prey. And as an adult, it transformed again into a colossal opportunist, dominating not through speed but through sheer size and power. In one species, nature had created multiple predators. This flexibility may explain why T.Rex was so successful, but it also proves it was no simple killing machine. It was complex, changing, and constantly adapting. The speed of this growth was astonishing. Bone studies reveal that T.Rex went through a teenage growth spurt between ages 14 and 18. In just a few years, it packed on thousands of pounds, growing at rates of up to 5 pounds a day. This rapid transformation made T.Rex unique among dinosaurs. Most predators filled one niche their entire lives. T.Rex shifted constantly, reinventing itself. That adaptability again points to survival, not perfection. It was not born to kill, it was born to change. But growth came with risks. Rapid expansion put strain on its body. Fossils show evidence of broken bones, arthritis, and infections. Some skeletons bear deep bite marks from other T.Rex, suggesting brutal fights, perhaps over territory, food, or mates. These scars tell us that T.Rex lived hard lives. They were not invincible monsters. They were animals struggling, competing, and surviving in a dangerous world. The evidence of cannibalism adds another twist. Fossils with T.Rex tooth marks suggest that they sometimes fed on each other, whether this was from scavenging dead rivals or killing the weak. We cannot know, but it paints a picture not of a noble king, but of a ruthless survivor. In times of scarcity, even giants turned on their own. This is not the story of a killing machine, it is the story of desperation. As T.Rex matured, its hunting style shifted too. Juveniles, fast and agile, could pursue prey actively. Adults, slower and bulkier, likely relied more on ambush or scavenging. This transition challenges the image of T.Rex as a lifelong apex hunter. Instead, it shows us a creature that lived multiple lives, each stage with different strengths and weaknesses. It was never one thing. It was always changing, always adapting to its size and environment. And then there is the matter of feathers. Fossil evidence from related tyrannosaurs suggests that juveniles may have had a coat of simple feathers. If true, then young T.Rex were fluffy, bird-like, and far less terrifying than the scaly monsters of films. Imagine a baby T.Rex covered in fuzz, sprinting through ferns, not a nightmare, but almost comical. As it grew, it may have lost much of this covering, keeping only patches of feathers for display or insulation. This makes T.Rex even stranger. It was not just a reptile, it was a bridge between lizards and birds, a creature that broke the boundaries of our imagination. This bird-like side of T.Rex adds to the idea that it wasn't a perfect predator. Birds are opportunists, survivors, and adapters. Crows, ravens, and vultures thrive by being clever, by feeding on what is available, not by being flawless hunters. T.Rex may have been the same. It was not a machine built for killing, but a survivor built for endurance. And while its legend paints it as a roaring beast, even its voice may have been misunderstood. Fossil evidence suggests that dinosaurs like T.Rex may not have roared like lions at all. Instead, they may have produced low-frequency sounds, deep rumbles that carried for miles. More like crocodiles or even pigeons, these sounds would have been felt as much as heard. Vibrations in the chest, warnings across the land. The reality is stranger and subtler than the myth. By looking at the growth of T.Rex, we see the truth. It was never a single monster, never a killing machine. It was a creature that began life as prey, grew into a predator, shifted into a scavenger, and ended as a giant survivor. Its power lay not in perfection, but in its ability to change, to adapt, to endure. The myth of the flawless killer is comforting because it is simple, but the reality that survival is messy, painful, and complicated is far more fascinating. And yet, this is only part of the story. Because T.Rex didn't live alone, it shared its world with rivals, with smaller predators, with creatures that challenged its dominance. To truly understand why it wasn't a killing machine, we must look at its ecosystem, the web of life and death in which it was only one player. That is where the truth of T.Rex becomes clearest. To see why T.Rex wasn't a killing machine, we have to place it back into its ecosystem. The late Cretaceous wasn't ruled by a single monster. It was a crowded, competitive world filled with predators, prey, and survivors all fighting for their place. T.Rex was a giant, yes, but it was not alone, and it was not invincible. The herbivores of its time were far from easy targets. Triceratops was perhaps the most dangerous. Its horns could measure over 3 feet long, capable of impaling even the largest predator. Its massive frill protected its neck. And evidence shows that these creatures were not solitary, they lived in herds. A lone T.Rex facing a group of Triceratops risked death in every encounter. Fossils bear the scars of this struggle. Triceratops skulls with bite marks from T.Rex teeth, but also T.Rex bones with healed punctures from Triceratops horns. These were not one-sided battles, they were wars fought tooth against horn, strength against armor. A killing machine would not emerge scarred. The survivor would. Edmontosaurus, another common herbivore, was less heavily armed but just as challenging. These duck-billed dinosaurs traveled in herds, relying on numbers and speed for defense. Fossilized trackways show vast groups moving together, perhaps migrating across plains. When threatened, they could stampede, overwhelming predators with chaos. A T.Rex, huge and slower, would not easily pick off prey from such groups. Instead, it may have waited for the weak, the old, or the injured. Opportunistic kills, not the clean, decisive strikes of a perfect hunter. And then there were other predators, raptors like Dacotyraptor, though far smaller, were fast and armed with sickle-shaped claws. While no match for an adult T.Rex in size, they may have hunted in packs, targeting prey that even a tyrant lizard would hesitate to attack alone. Crocodilians lurked in rivers, ambushing the careless. Flying reptiles soared overhead. Even smaller tyrannosaurs lived in the shadows, competing for scraps. T.Rex may have been the largest predator of its time, but it existed in a web of life where size alone did not guarantee dominance. This is why the image of T.Rex as a flawless killing machine is misleading. It didn't dominate because it was perfect, it dominated because it was adaptable. It could outlast smaller predators by living longer. It could outcompete scavengers with its bone-crushing jaws. It could intimidate rivals with its sheer bulk. But every day, it faced threats and challenges that tested its survival. The scars on its bones prove it was not untouchable. Even diseases and parasites remind us of its vulnerability. Fossilized T.Rex skulls show evidence of infections, holes carved by parasites similar to those that infect modern birds. These wounds would have made feeding painful, perhaps even deadly. A killing machine is invulnerable, but real animal suffers, and T.Rex suffered. When we look at its world, the myth fades. Imagine a late Cretaceous plain, herds of Triceratops moving slowly across the land, Edmontosaurus grazing in vast numbers, pterosaurs circling above. In the distance, a T.Rex waits, not sprinting, not roaring, but watching. It follows the scent of death carried on the wind. It approaches a carcass, perhaps killed by something else, perhaps a natural death. It tears into bone and flesh, consuming everything. This is not the scene of a perfect predator. It is the scene of a survivor, taking what the world offers, avoiding unnecessary risks, choosing patience over recklessness, even in hunting. T.Rex's strategy seems more cautious than cinematic. Its massive head and powerful neck muscles suggest that it may have ambushed prey, striking quickly and brutally, rather than chasing it over long distances. Its jaws could crush bones in a single bite, delivering wounds so devastating that even if prey escaped, it would soon collapse. This was not the precision of a machine, it was the efficiency of nature. Brutal but imperfect. Hollywood gave us a monster that roared, sprinted, and hunted endlessly. Reality gives us an animal that lived within limits, calculated risks, endured pain, and adapted to survive. This reality is not less impressive, it is more, because survival, not perfection, is the true measure of power, and this power had limits, too, for all its strength. T.Rex could not stop the inevitable. 66 million years ago, an asteroid struck Earth, ending the age of dinosaurs. No predator, no prey, no survivor could withstand the chain of destruction that followed. T.Rex, like all the giants of its world, vanished, but the myth it left behind grew larger than life. We turned it into a monster, a symbol of dominance, a killing machine. In truth, it was something far more fascinating, a flawed, adaptable creature, shaped by struggle, scarred by survival, and done not by weakness but by chance. The ecosystem of T.Rex proves the truth. It was not king because it was unstoppable. It was king because it endured longer than its rivals. It was king not because it was flawless, but because it was enough. That is the difference between a machine and a living animal. Machines are perfect. Animals are not. And yet animals survive, against odds, for millions of years. And this is why the story of T.Rex is not over. Because every new fossil, every new study, peels back another layer of myth. What else might we learn about this creature that wasn't a killing machine, but something even greater? In the next chapter, we'll uncover how the legend of T.Rex was built by humans through art, film, and imagination, and why our need for monsters may say more about us than about the dinosaurs themselves.